and then the summary of Bhagavad Gita. After that, the first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter, fifth chapter, and today we will hear the sixth chapter. So in the first chapter, Arjuna had his reasons why not to fight. And in the second chapter, after Arjuna submits and surrenders himself to Lord Sri Krishna, then Lord Krishna gives the reasons why Arjuna should fight. And after that, the Lord starts explaining about Nishkama Karma Yoga. That's the second chapter. And then the third chapter, at the end of the, in the middle of the third chapter, Arjuna asks, why is it that somebody would like to indulge in sinful action, knowing what their occupational duty is? An answer to that, Lord Krishna says, it's lust only, Arjuna. And then at the end of the third chapter, Lord Krishna says, it's with the transcendental knowledge that the lust can be defeated, that lust can be subdued. So that's why the fourth chapter is about the transcendental knowledge, Jnana Yoga. And then at the end of the fourth chapter, Lord Krishna says, okay, now I gave you this Jnana Yoga, get up and fight Arjuna. And Arjuna gets confused again. He says in the beginning of the fifth chapter, for one final time, Krishna, please tell me, do I just be fixed in Jnana and go meditate in the forest, or do I fight, which is my dharma, Kshatriya dharma? And a response to that, Lord Krishna clearly states that that Arjuna has to fight. And then after that, Lord Krishna talks about liberation, okay, and liberation or a transcendental state, and how the transcendental state can be achieved. Guna Atita, transcendental to the modes. There, Lord Krishna was explaining how through Jnana Yoga it can be achieved, but it is very difficult, and that's why he was recommending Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga. And after explaining the symptoms of a Nishkama Karma Yogi or Bhakti Yogi, at the very end, Lord Krishna in the fifth chapter explains a little bit about how Ashtanga Yoga can be practiced to get to the transcendental position. Only a little bit, 2-3 slokas at the end of the fifth chapter. But now in the sixth chapter, he's going to explain in detail about that Ashtanga Yoga. At the very end of the fifth chapter, like we heard last week, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutana jnatva shantim rachati. That particular shloka is about the Bhakti Yoga. So seventh chapter is going to start based on this shloka at the end of the fifth chapter. Okay, so in this way, because Lord Krishna has very briefly described about Ashtanga Yoga, just in 2-3 verses at the fifth chapter, in the fifth chapter, end of the fifth chapter. Now he's going to explain in detail in the sixth chapter. So that's where we are today. Okay, so sixth chapter is more about Ashtanga Yoga. Details of that is given in the sixth chapter. So in the sixth chapter, what we are going to hear today are these, the Ashtanga Yoga. Details of that. We will actually compare Bhakti Yoga to Ashtanga Yoga. And then we will see the completeness of Bhakti Yoga. So that we will do. So Ashtanga Yoga. And the second topic is about the mind. Dear devotees, what are the characteristics of the mind? And the potency of the mind and how to control the mind, that we will hear today. And the last topic would be what is the destination of those yogis who could do only a little bit of practice but cannot complete it and had to give up in the middle. What would happen to them? So destination of an unsuccessful yogi. I really don't like to use that word unsuccessful yogi. Yogi is never unsuccessful. Yoga is just about success only, either this life or next life. So let's say Continuation of the continuation of the journey of the yogi. Yeah, even though they give up at some point because of one reason or other, what happens to them later? So the continuation of the journey of the yogi. But Arjuna really asks that question. He uses this word. So what's going to happen to them when they give up? And that's why it says destination of unsuccessful yogi. That's how the heading comes. So these are the topics. These are the three topics: Ashtanga Yoga, mind, and destination of unsuccessful, going to be successful yogi. This is the 6th chapter. So I think we can go ahead to the PowerPoint and then enter into the 6th chapter. Nice points for us as the sadhakas, especially when we are hearing about the Ashtanga Yoga devotees. Do not think, oh, that's not our route. Do not think that, because for any yoga, there are many commonalities. So there are many things that are common in Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. So we can focus on that. And comparison between Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, that will be helpful to us. Regarding the mind, yeah, we will shake hand with our minds today and get to know a little more about the minds. That also is useful. Yeah, we can enter now into the 6th chapter. Okay. Dhyana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, anything. Interchangeable words. Dhyana Yoga. So these are the topics as we have already discussed. So we will go through these topics. These are the 3 main topics. Okay. So now, Lord Krishna, at the end of the 5th chapter, as we have just heard, he says, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhrudam sarva bhutanam nyatva mam shantim rachati. He said that, and as we have heard, he also explained about a verse just before that. He explained about the yoga. Now that the Lord wants to elaborate on this Dhyana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, the Lord is making it clear the definition of a yogi. What is the difference between the sannyasi and the yogi? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Anashritah Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karoti Aham Sasannyasi Cha Yogi Cha Na niragnir na chakriyaham. So sannyasi is not somebody who doesn't light the fire or doesn't do the action. Sannyasi is somebody who renounces karma phalam, just does the dharma, does the action, does the service, and renounces the karma phalam. That's sannyasi. And we heard in detail in the last session about Nitya Sannyasi. How beautiful was that? That any devotee can become Nitya Sannyasi at any time. So Anashritaha Karma Phalam, that is Sannyasi, who is not attached to the fruits of the work. Then who is Yogi? Yam Sannyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. This is beautiful. Nahi asanyasta sankalpo. If one does not have asanyasta sankalpo, asanyasta is material desires, sankalpa is material desires, giving up material desires. Asanyasta is giving up material desires or sense gratification. Yogi bhavati kaschana, nahi yogi bhavati kaschana. Then they cannot be yogis. So if one does not give up a desire for sense gratification, then he cannot become a yogi. Dear devotee, any yogi, not just Ashtanga yogi. It is Bhakti yogi too. I think somebody has to mute, please. Could you please check? Thank you. So, yeah, even Bhakti yogi also. This we have to understand, dear devotees. Sense gratification is this way. Krishna consciousness is this way. They don't go together. Initially, thoda sa bhakti, the beauty of bhakti is it lets dovetail to Krishna. Whatever we like, dovetail. Oh, I like this yummy, yummy prasadam. I used to eat in the restaurant. Okay, dovetail it to Krishna. Continue the yummy prasadam, but offer it to Krishna. So initially we have that beautiful grace period in bhakti, where we simply dovetail. We still do what we want to do, but dovetail, dovetail, dovetail. But ultimately we have to realize that the sense gratification and relishment of pure bhakti, they don't go together. So yogi, definition of yogi, Lord Krishna is saying, who renounces the desire for sense gratification. Sannyasi is who is renouncing the fruits of the work. A yogi is who is renouncing the desire for sense gratification. Is that easy? Is that really easy? Yeah, when we are with the devotees, with the bhakti is so potent. And when we are in the sangha of the devotees, when we get a little taste of, higher taste, then it is possible. Slowly, 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 lower taste will go away. That's the beauty of bhakti, potency of bhakti. This is more easier in bhakti yoga than Ashtanga yoga. We will hear now Ashtanga yoga is so, so difficult, but bhakti yoga is beautiful. So yes, who renounces the desire for sense gratification is yogi. Now, the Lord, this is like an opening verse for describing in detail about Ashtanga yoga or Dhyana yoga. Arurukshar munir yogam karma karanamuchyate yoga rudasya tasyaiva shama karanamuchyate. See, like for us in bhakti, we have this stages, right? In the initial stages, it's more of sadhana bhakti, and then it's raga bhakti. In sadhana bhakti, we hold on to the seva because the mind and intelligence are not strong enough to hold on to the Lord. So we take shelter of the action, the service, so we can go towards the Lord. So in sadhana bhakti, action is prominent. The seva, external action is prominent in sadhana bhakti. But as a person, as the devotee has spontaneous bhakti within, when a devotee doesn't really need rules and regulations, but has spontaneous devotion coming out, like they don't have to chant because they have to chant 16 rounds. It's just that they can't stop chanting. So that is raga bhakti. So for them, the external service is not really needed for them. It just happens, but it's not really needed for them for their purification. It's only in the beginning we need it for purification, the external service. But at the later times, the service, external service just flows out. It just happens. Like for Srila Prabhupada, he was never idle 24/7. He was just doing something because service just flows in Raga Bhakti. In the same way, in Ashtanga Yoga also, there are the two stages. The beginning stage is called Yoga Ruksha, and the later stage is Yoga Ruda, perfection. So sadhana is Ruksha, and the perfection is Yoga Ruda. So in the Yoga Ruksha stage, for one who is a neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, The Lord Krishna is saying, work is said to be the means. But for who is already elevated in the yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. For them, it's literally stopping the external actions for Ashtanga yogas, Ashtanga yogis. We will hear the details again. What is this Yoga Rukshu, Yoga Ruda? So details of what Yoga Rukshu initial stage and the Ruda. That will come a little later. We are just going with the flow of Gita, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, but that will come soon. And next thing the Lord says is about the mind. Because now that he has introduced this topic to us, that he's going to speak about Ashtanga Yoga, and in that, mind is really a very deciding factor. And again, we will see why. It's a make or break thing in Ashtanga Yoga. So the Lord speaks about the mind. Even if it's Ashtanga Yoga or Bhakti Yoga or anywhere, now we are going to hear about mind. Mind. We are all very familiar with this mind. As much as we are so familiar with the air, breathing in air, we are very familiar with this mind. So now we are going to know more about this mind. Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayat atmaiva hi atmano bandhu atmaiva ripuratmanaha. Here, Atma in one instance is soul, and Atma at the other usage is mind. So, the mind is so important, so significant. Lord Krishna is saying, one must deliver. I mean, the soul, the soul is dependent on the mind for the deliverance. That is place. And it means it is really a deciding factor, mind. We cannot just ignore it. Huh? So it is a deciding factor. And then, okay, how can one deliver oneself? By mind. Bandhur atma atmatmanastasya yenatmaiva atmana chitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartate atmaiva shatruvat. Bandhur atmana jita. This mind, if you want to deliver yourself with the help of this mind, with devotees, actually, for Bhakti Yoga, we will hear about, for us, specifically, what Srila Prabhupada said. We will hear that soon. But what Lord Krishna is saying here is, when the mind is controlled, then it is our best friend. That is our experience anyway. But if the mind is not controlled, then it's the greatest enemy. That is very well experienced by everybody, even if they do any kind of yoga or not. How mind is the greatest enemy? Everybody has the experience. Nobody has to do yoga for it. But one who is a yogi, when they control the mind by some means, or when the mind control happens, then mind is the greatest friend. Mind is the greatest friend in Ashtanga Yoga when it is controlled. In Bhakti Yoga, mind, when it is purified, it's the best friend. So like that, because Bhakti is about purification. Ashtanga Yoga is about control. Like that. And next, what happens when the mind is conquered? See, in Ashtanga Yoga, whole language is like control the mind, conquer the mind. The language of Ashtanga Yoga is like that because it's a very mechanical process. So what happens when one conquers the mind? Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahita shitoshna sukhadukeshu tata manapamanayo. For those who has conquered the mind in Ashtanga Yoga, the super soul is reached. These are the very later stages in a yoga rudha stage. There, jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahita. For them, when the pratyahara happens, they start the dharana dhyana, then the samadhi gets easy. So that's what this is about. In that state, shitoshna sukhadukkeshu tadha manapamanayo. For them, the happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. When the mind is conquered, when the super soul is reached. This is in Ashtanga Yoga. Srila Prabhupada gave such a beautiful purport to this. This is a shloka of Ashtanga Yoga, clearly in the 6th chapter. And Lord Krishna is saying, when the mind is conquered, super soul is reached. Srila Prabhupada so mercifully says, the mind has to be under superior dictation. Because the mind is in the illusory energy now, that's why it is an enemy. But the mind can be conquered when it is placed, when it is fixed with Krishna, then the mind is conquered. Mind to be conquered by placing it with Krishna. That's Bhakti Yoga. Okay, that was the purport of Srila Prabhupada. I'm bringing that up because every purport of Srila Prabhupada, actually every purport of whatever chapter of Bhagavad Gita it might be, even if it's Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita, for that, they're straightforward anyway. But here, even in Ashtanga Yoga also, Jnana Yoga, anywhere, Srila Prabhupada mercifully takes all the readers straight to the lotus feet of Krishna. So that's the beauty of Bhaktivedanta purports. Why is that so many are becoming devotees? Like a worldwide beautiful explosion of devotees. How is this happening? That's Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta purports. Everywhere, every purport, straight, it takes us to the lotus feet of Krishna. So he did that with this verse also. Yeah, but those are the that's about the mind, dear devotees. This is the significance of the mind. So it's through the mind, especially in Ashtanga Yoga, that one can deliver themselves with the help of mind. When the mind is your best friend, then the soul is delivered. But when the mind is the greatest enemy, the soul is not delivered. Yeah. So this is the significance of mind. And yeah, that's from a standpoint of Ashtanga Yoga. But we also heard about Bhakti Yoga, right? It's not so much about the control of the mind or conquering of the mind, but mind gets purified, beautifully gets purified with the process of bhakti within the Krishna Katha. A combination of Krishna Katha and Seva in the devotee Sangha, mind beautifully, painlessly gets purified. That's the glory of bhakti. Yeah. And next thing, Lord Krishna is saying, now that Lord Krishna introduced the topic of the mind and the significance of the mind in Ashtanga Yoga, and in general too, who is considered more advanced? Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutasto Vijatendriyaha Yukta iti Uchyate Yogi Samaloshrashma Kanchanaha. Samaloshrashma Kanchanaha. Is it somebody who can look at the gold, stones, and pebbles the same? Wow. So somebody can look at the gold and the stones as the same? So in other words, they could just go into the gold shop, take those gold coins and just play, come outside and play as marbles on the street because they're looking them as pebbles. And pebbles, they can look at as more precious one, gold. So that attaching no value to the external things, is that great? Is that more advanced? Or Suhrin Mitrari Udasina Madhyastha Dveshya Bandhusru Sadhushvapi Chapapeshu Samabhuttir Vishishyate. Or somebody who is treating Suhrit, a friend, Mitrari, well-wisher, Udasina. Udasina is a neutral person. Madhyastha, mediator. Dveshya, enemy. Bandhu, relative. Sadhu, this is sadhu, a saintly person. All of them. Somebody treating all of them the same. Samadrishti. In other words, there is no raga and dvesha on anybody that he's looking at. So is this more advanced or just looking at the material things? I think there was a temporary disconnection. Back again, dear devotees. So, which is more advanced? Having equal vision for the material things, or having equal vision on all entities? Clearly, having equal vision on all living entities is more advanced. More advanced, even for the bhakti also. That is an ashtanga, but even bhakti too. Having that kind of vision, not showing hatred towards the enemy, and not having raga to a friend. I mean, attachment for personal self-interest. Yeah. Not having that is not easy. So clearly, the later is more advanced. Having equal vision towards all living entities, towards everyone, is an advanced vision. And then now, so we see this now, right? Lord Krishna first introduced a little bit about this Ashtanga Yoga, and then about the mind, and now about the control of the mind. Now that he spoke about the control of the mind, this is about the control of the mind. Having equal vision is the control of the mind. Equal vision on the things and equal vision on the people. Okay. Now, a little information about yogi's habits. This is good for any yogi, Bhakti yogi, Ashtanga yogi, anybody. Now that he spoke about the mind, the Lord here is speaking about the physical body. How to manage the physical needs. There's no possibility of once becoming a yogi or Arjuna if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. Balanced. Yeah. And that is about eating and sleeping. That is about the quantity. Next one is about regulation. Regulated. So one should be able to tell and predict, okay, this time, this will be the sleeping time. This will be the eating time. So regulation every day, like that. So this regulation is sattva, dear devotees. So this is about yogi's habits. These are This is good for physical health also. Even if somebody is yogi or not, this is good for everybody's physical health. Having the regulation and the quantity control in the sleep and in eating. Okay. So that's some information about the physical body, of the habits that can be helpful to yogi's body, and this is about the mind control. Next comes now explanation, detailed explanation of the stages in Ashtanga Yoga. So the very first verse, you see this one? This is the first verse where the Lord introduced about Ashtanga Yoga. Yoga Rukshu, Yoga Ruda. This is now in detail about this. Yoga Rukshu, Yoga Ruda. Useful for us, dear devotees. Not only for us. See, with this information, we are going to compare Bhakti Yoga, your Ashtanga Yoga to Bhakti Yoga. This information can deepen our faith, can answer many of our questions, and is also helpful when somebody comes and asks questions about Ashtanga Yoga, basic information about Ashtanga Yoga, and also to tell them how Bhakti Yoga is more complete than Ashtanga Yoga. So this part will be helpful for us. So, as we heard, Yoga Rukshu is compared to the sadhana stage of in Bhakti. Yoga Ruda is Raga Bhakti. Comparing. Ashta Anga Yoga. Ashta is 8. Angas are limbs. Yeah. Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. What are those 8 limbs? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. These are the 8 limbs. Okay. Yama and Niyama are do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts. Like we have, our do's is always remember Krishna, 16, at least 16 malas every day. Our do's and don'ts are 4 regulative principles for us, like that. In Yama Niyama, they also have a list of it, and their list is pretty strict. Do's and don'ts. And these do's and don'ts are to promote ahimsa, to bring one to sattva. It's the same thing, same principle in any yoga. That's Yama and Niyama. And then comes asana and pranayama. These two are specific for Ashtanga Yoga. A Bhakti Yoga, we don't necessarily need asana and pranayama. But for Ashtanga Yoga, there is a need. They have to have it. Why like that? Because Ashtanga Yoga, now this day and age, little body stretches and yoga studios, that's not Ashtanga Yoga. If somebody is serious to have Paramatma realization through Ashtanga Yoga, they will have to sit and meditate for years together without moving. Like Dhruva Maharaj, he did the tapasya there. In 6 months, he had darshan of Narayana. He was standing on one limb, and he was just, it is described that he was just breathing every now and then. The eating was stopped after some time. Breathing was every now and then he takes a breath. Once in few days he took a breath. Like that. So for Ashtanga Yoga, the asana and pranayama are must. Asana is to have control over the body. Pranayama is to have control over the breath. So they can sit still for the continued internal meditation. So these are the 4 limbs. And next one is Pratyahara. So these limbs, dear devotees, for Ashtanga yogis, again, this is for Paramatma realization. In the previous yugas, this Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, they can be practiced even when they are in the midst of the people. This is more like a preparatory stage for them. But once they have to go to the Yoga Ruda stage, they have to do Sangha Sannyasa. They have to leave the society. They have to go to a secluded place. And that's why they used to go to the forest. Pratyahara. After going to a secluded place, and all the description is given, right? The deer mat is placed on the kusha grass. They sit. And what happens? After sitting, what do? They do pratyahara. They close their eyes, and pratyahara is to withdraw the mind. Now that they have stabilized the body with asana and pranayama, after doing the yama niyama, now they are controlling the mind. Control of the body has happened with asana. Control of the breath has happened with pranayama. Now starts the control of the mind. Control. So control of the mind is by withdrawing the mind from anything external. That is pratyahara. And this state is, for us in Bhakti Yoga, this is very close to later stages of Nishtha, where a devotee almost goes on with the practice of bhakti, the seva, or the bhajan. In the later stages of Nishtha, when it is getting to Ruchi, it almost just goes automatically. Because the material mind modes does not bother the devotee anymore. And this is how it is correlating with withdrawing mind from sense objects in Ashtanga Yoga. After that, in Ashtanga Yoga, once the mind is withdrawn, this mind is focused on internally. They focus on different chakras. Shat chakra is there, one after the other. Mooladhara to start with, like that. Swadhisthana to start with. That's the very first chakra. Let's see. Swadhisthana, Mooladhara, then Manipura chakra, then Annahata chakra, then Vishuddha chakra, Agna chakra, and Sahasra chakra. Did the 8 come? That is Swadhisthana, Mooladhara, Manipura chakra, Annahata chakra, Vishuddha, Agnya, Shat chakra, and Sahasra. Yes, 7 chakras, like that. So that is a very mechanical process of elevating the consciousness. But they use the mind for that to mechanically elevate the consciousness from a lower consciousness to higher consciousness, like that. And dharana is fixing the mind on Lord's form. When they come to the Annahata chakra, it's in the heart. Yeah, there dharana happens. Dharana is fixing the mind on overall the Lord's form. To fix the mind on Lord's form like that, they see how advanced of a stage is that in Ashtanga Yoga. And then dhyana is not just having a overall darshan of the transcendental form of Paramatma within, but each limb, like, zoom in to the lotus feet, like that. This is beautifully explained in Lord Kapila's teachings, Ashtanga Yoga. Beautifully explained there. How a yogi meditates. This is the yoga that Kardama Muni was doing, and he had tears rolling down the cheeks. Because that was the yoga in that stage in Satya Yoga. So in this stage, they are able to see Paramatma. And Samadhi is complete absorption. They forget that they are in the body. Complete absorption in the darshan of the Lord, or in the Brahma Jyoti that is emanating from the Lord. If the complete absorption is in the Brahma Jyoti, then they will attain Brahma Sahyajya Mukti. If the complete absorption is in the darshan of the Lord, Then after they leave the body, then they go to the Vaikuntha, like Kardamuni. So this is Ashtanga Yoga. These are the different limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. And this is what happens in different stages of Ashtanga Yoga. And in Bhakti Yoga, as we have already heard, Yoga Rukshu is equivalent to the Sadhana Bhakti. Pratyahara is more of Anartha Nivritti. A lot of Pratyahara is Anartha Nivritti. And at the end of the Pratyahara, when the Dharana starts, that is more Ruchi, Nishta. Pratyahara initial stages is when you are withdrawing, that's all Anartha Nivritti, and later stages is Nishta. And at the end of Pratyahara is the Ruchi starts. So Dharana can be compared to the Ruchi. Ruchi and Asakti. Even in Harinama also, dear devotees, remember? At the stage of Ruchi and Asakti, one gets Swarupa Bhasa. So that's equivalent to the Dharana stage, where Nama is revealing the Rupa of the Lord. That's in the Rupa of the Lord. And in the Asakti, not only the Rupa of the Lord, but the Rupa of the Raganuga Bhakta and Swarupa Abhasa also is happens in Asakti stage. So Dharana is more like Ruchi and Asakti for us in Bhakti Yoga. Dhyana is like Ruchi, Dharana, Ruchi, Dhyana, Asakti. Dhyana is intensified meditation on the Lord, and Samadhi, Bhava Samadhi. So Bhava is this complete absorption in trance. So Dharana is Ruchi, Dhyana can be Asakti, Bhava can be Samadhi. Because Bhava Samadhi, we have heard great devotees in Bhava Samadhi, many acharyas. And they forget. They forget about this body. They don't realize that they're in this body. So like that. Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava Samadhi. And when somebody gets to Prema, of course, this body cannot stay in the stage of Prema for a practicing bhaktas. And the next stage would be Vastu Siddhi, where the devotee leaves the current material body and takes birth in a Bhauma Vrindavan, in a different planet, wherever Lord Krishna's pastimes are happening. So this is the comparison for us between Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Yes, dear devotees. And you see here, for Yoga Ruda stage, one has to go to the forest. But in Bhakti Yoga, we don't go to the forest. We're always with the devotees. And also, did you notice that how difficult it is? Asana and pranayama, forget about it. Especially such long asanas and pranayamas is not possible with this human body in this Kali Yuga. Prayena alpayusha sabya kalau asmin yuge janaha manda sumandaha matayo manda bhagyahi upatritaha. Alpayusha, body has alpayusha and the mind has manda sumanda matayo. How can Ashtanga Yoga be utilized for Paramatma realization in Kali Yuga when there is Alpayusha and when there is Manda Sumanda of mind? So that's why Ashtanga Yoga is not the yoga of the Kali Yuga. If somebody is doing it, we hear yogis in Himalayas, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, they have siddhis, very wonderful. Siddhis can be gotten with the yoga. But we are talking here about the Paramatma realization. That's past siddhis. So in Kali Yuga, Paramatma realization for Ashtanga Yoga is not recommended. Ashtanga Yoga is not recommended. So that's why Bhakti Yoga is the way to go in Kali Yuga. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevala. Kalau na asti eva, na asti eva, na asti eva gatiranyada. So in this way, that's the difference between Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Both in the process, the difficulty in the process of Ashtanga Yoga, and how in Kali Yuga, though somebody takes up, how it cannot really reach to Paramatma realization. Ashtanga Yoga cannot reach to Paramatma realization in Kali Yuga. That's the second point. And all that is obtained in this Ashtanga Yoga, you see, dear devotees, Bhava Samadhi. This is obtained. And past that, Prema and Vastu Siddhi, all that is present in Bhakti, not so much in Ashtanga Yoga. Vastu Siddhi. Right? And pastimes, entering into the pastimes of the Lord after Vastu Siddhi, that's in Bhakti Yoga. When one takes birth in the Bhauma Vrindavana, where Lord Krishna is, but doesn't happen in Ashtanga Yoga. So that's why Bhakti Yoga is more complete, more natural, and easier when compared to this Ashtanga Yoga, especially because of the asana and pranayama that a Kali Yuga body and mind cannot take. Okay, dear devotees, this is little more. We have heard quite a bit here. And Lord Krishna, he is also explaining about Yoga Yukta and Yoga Rudha. It's more like summarizing what we have heard so far. Yada viniyatam chittam atmani eva vatishtate nispriha sarvakamebhyo yukta iti uchyate tadam. Yukta, Yoga Yukta. This is called Yoga Yukta. Means this is the initial stage. Yoga Rukshu or Yoga Yukta, they are the initial stages. So in the initial stages, as we have just heard, the mental activities are disciplined and being fixed in self and transcendence, giving up sinful activities. This is giving up sinful activities is through Pratyahara. Start of Pratyahara. So this is the beginning stage, Yoga Yukta, and the latest stages of Ashtanga Yoga. Yadhadipo nivatasto nengate sopamasmrita yogino yatachittasya yunjato yogamatmanaha. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, the chitta has become that steady in the later stages in the Yoga Rudha. So undisturbed focus, concentration on the transcendental self. Here, when there is Paramatma realization, they will be able to see themselves too. So that's why it is said here, transcendental self. This is in the later stages. Undisturbed meditation on one's true self, soul, or Paramatma. That's in Yoga Rudha stage. The final stages of Yoga Rudha, as we have seen here, is Samadhi. So Lord Krishna has explained quickly about these stages, and now he's explaining about Samadhi stage. This Samadhi stage is very much similar to Bhakti Yogi also. In Bhava Samadhi also, this is what happens. What happens in Samadhi? Their consciousness is completely restrained from material mental activities. Almost as if there is no mind at all. There is no material mind. There are no modes acting upon. Yeah. So, material mind is completely dissolved. One can see the pure self by the mind and be satisfied with it. This is like Atma Sakshatkara in Ashtanga Yoga. One gets boundless spiritual bliss by spiritual intelligence. One is never deviated from the truth of one's spiritual nature, because this is the final stage. Atma Sakshatkara. Having obtained this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Situated in full determination, one is never shaken, even in greatest difficulty. They have transcended the modes. Transcended the modes. And this is Atma Sakshatkara or self-realization. Here comes the next question. This is for our understanding. Okay? The Lord has just explained, right? He has explained about Brahma Bhuta and Brahma Samsparsha. Yes, these are the verses. Okay, yeah, we will go through. So this is the stage of Samadhi. So now that Lord has explained completely about the Ashtanga Yoga, about all these, yeah, until Samadhi. Now he's telling Arjuna, see, to be able to come to this point of Samadhi, to this state of Samadhi, it is imperative that one controls the mind. So this is like a continuation of what we have heard about mind in the very beginning. Mind. How crucial it is in Ashtanga Yoga. The Lord is again revealing a little more knowledge about mind. Now we will know the characteristics of mind. Yato yato nischalati manaschanchalamastiram tatastato niyamyaitad atmani eva vasham nayet. This mind is flickering and unsteady. It's chanchalam and astiram. It doesn't stay in one place. Unsteady and it is stubborn. It is flickering, unsteady, and stubborn mind. So bring it. Mind is like this, but bring it back under the control of the self. This is all what they do in Ashtanga Yoga. Pratyahara. This is the process of Pratyahara. Yes, mind is like this, but you have to bring it under the control of the self. And then Prashantam manasam hi enam yoginam sukhamuttamam upaiti shantarajasam brahmabhutam akalmasham. So what happens when an Ashtanga yogi brings the mind like that with Pratyahara again and again, starts dharana and dhyana? What happens? Prashanta manasam hi enam yoginam sukhamuttamam. In the dharana stage, as the yogi withdraws the mind from external senses and starts meditating upon the Paramatma, then a yogi peacefully fixes his mind, and that's when he's in perfect happiness. Perfect happiness is after the mind control. The passion is pacified as the mind is being fixed on the Lord. Same thing in Ashtanga Yoga. Passion can be pacified only when it is directed towards the Lord. It's not that we will control the passion and then focus on the Lord. No. So passion is passion being pacified. The yogi attains transcendence, freed from all dirt in the past. Brahma bhutam akalmasham upaiti shanta rajasam. All the rajasam has been shanta, pacified. Brahma bhutam akalmasham. Now that he has no more kalmasha, no more dirt, then he is Brahma bhutam. He is in perfect happiness. This is just before samadhi, dharana, dhyana. Then the next one. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha sukhena brahma samsparsham Atyantam sukhamashnate. This is it. Sukhena Brahma samsparsham. Brahma samsparsham. He is doing the sparsha of Paramatma. Now that he has touched the Paramatma, now that he got in touch with Paramatma within, Brahma samsparsham, and then he has attained highest happiness. Atyantam sukhamashnate. How did that happen? Ashtanga Yogi, constantly being in union with me, Yogi becomes free from all material contamination. So whatever action of modes were there, even during dharana, dhyana, all that is completely, all that effect of modes or contamination is all purified. They become, yogi becomes free by constantly being in union, in meditation with Paramatma within. In that way, he will get Brahma samsparsham. He gets in touch with Paramatma within. Sukhena, atyantam sukhamashnate. In this way, he attains highest happiness. This is why the yogis do Ashtanga Yoga. This is what Kardama Muni in the Krita Yuga did. Why was he having the tears rolling down the cheeks? Just sitting there doing the Ashtanga Yoga? Because of the Brahma Samsparsham. Because of the Brahma Samsparsham. That is Paramatma realization. And so in this context, for us, just to differentiate between these two, for our knowledge and to answer others' question also when they ask us, what's the difference between self-realization and God realization? This is one of those questions when we started in the very beginning, the Gita Pravaha, one of those questions, and the answer is here. Self-realization is Brahma Bhuta, and God realization is Brahma Sparsha. In both Brahma Bhuta and Brahma Sparsha, you see there is Prasantatma. There is, mind is peaceful, Vigata Kalmasha, the dirt is gone. Sukhamuttamam, both of them are very happy, blissful. But in God realization, there is Brahma samsparsham. In Brahma Bhuta, the soul has realized its identity, that's all. But in Brahma Samsparsha, the soul has got in touch with the Paramatma that is there in the heart. And whoever had this Brahma Samsparsha is a Jivan Mukta. Again, like Kardama Muni, he was Jivan Mukta. He was in the body, but liberated. Jivan Mukta means Mukta is liberated. Jivan is, while present in this body, a living body, liberated person, Jivan Mukta. That's why realizing Paramatma, Brahma Samsparsha. Okay. So those are the two differences. Brahma Sparsham and Jivan Mukta is in God realization. This is based on what the shlokas are there in the 6th chapter. Okay, so now what is the vision of this yogi who has this Brahma Samsparsham, who got in touch with Paramatma within? Sarvabhutastam Atmanam Sarvabhutani Chatmani Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. Sarvabhutastam Bhut. Dear devotees, this is not just Ashtanga Yoga. You see, Sarvabhutastam Atmanam sees every being in me. Sarvabhutani Chatmani, and sees me in every being. Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshani. Wherever the vision of the yogi is, Sarvatra Samadarshana, he sees Supreme Lord everywhere. Samadarshana is equal vision everywhere. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachame na pranashyati. The famous verse is here. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, to that person I am never lost and he's never lost to me. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pash. This is, we are hearing in the context of Ashtanga Yoga, dear devotees. And this, in the very final stages, right? Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. How about us? Bhakti yogis. We hear this very often. Our acharyas. Srila Prabhupada also quotes this. And many of our Gurujana. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. How is that possible for us, Bhakti yogis? This is so much of a final stage in Ashtanga Yoga. Why is that Acharya is bringing up this particular shloka and saying you should be like this? They know that they're talking to the sadhakas. What is it they're saying? How is it that one can get to this state? Because the Acharyas, they have done Vastu Nirdesha for us. Vastu Nirdesha is the Vastu, the goal that needs to be attained. Lotus feet of Lord Hari, Lord Krishna. They have very mercifully fixed our goal there at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And they also say, in this day of Kali Yuga, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Harirnama, Harirnama, Harirnama Yeva Kevalam, Kalauna Astiyeva na Astiyeva na Astiyeva Gatiranyada. The lotus feet of Lord Krishna that is present in the Nama. When the goal is fixed, that is lotus feet of the Lord. When our action and when our thought is towards that fixed goal, that is lotus feet of the Lord, then it will gradually take us to this state. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamayi pashyati. We have also heard, right? The Nama is the Satya, is the sadhana and Satya. Nama of Bhagavan is the sadhana and Satya in Kali Yuga. So in the Nama are present the Rupa Guna Leela, the lotus feet of Lord Hari is present here. So the Acharyas bring this verse to us. Bring this verse to us and see how one can go to this state through Hari Bhajan, Nam Bhajan. And when during our Hari Bhajan, our Gurujana say, if the mind does not go anywhere, but is only with Krishna during the japa, only with Krishna during the japa, in the 2 hours, Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra automatically happens. So this is how in Bhakti Yoga we are given a hope that we can get to this state of seeing Krishna everywhere. And in this context, we have to mention that, Sri Guru places us in Krishna samsara. That's something that we cannot do on our own, not with our mind. Sri Guru, it is, we are accepted in Guru samsara first, and then Sri Guru places us in Krishna samsara. It means he's the Sambandha Data. He gives us the Sambandha to Bhagavan. In that way, he gives us a vision of Krishna, how the Lord is present everywhere. As he engages us in the loving service of Bhagavan to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, he gives us, Sri Guru gives us the vision of how the Lord is present everywhere. So in this way, with the mercy of Sri Guru and Gauranga Harinama, a Bhakti Yogi is taken to this state. All right, dear devotees. And now, of course, Lord Krishna was saying all this in the context of Ashtanga Yoga. So in this way, an Ashtanga yogi who has this Brahma Samsparsha, after controlling, 1 second, dear devotees, I think I have to plug in before the, sorry, excuse me, please. Realize that it wasn't plugged. So, yeah. So in this way, Lord Krishna is saying, okay, did you hear, Arjuna? These are the angas of Ashtanga Yoga. Yeah, so mind control is a must. And with the mind control, gradually, while performing all the angas of bhakti, one would get to this samadhi state. And then one we will see the Lord, Paramatma everywhere. And what did Arjuna say? Krishna, I have heard it all. But this system of yoga is impractical and undurable to me, Krishna, because the mind is so restless and unsteady. How can I do pratyahara? This is Arjuna, who is Savyasachi and who is a great warrior. He's saying, I can control the wind, but I cannot control the mind. This is Arjuna saying. And so if somebody tries to do Ashtanga Yoga for Paramatma realization, then they may have to check the words of Arjuna. In this Kali Yuga, Ashtanga Yoga for Paramatma realization. And this is what Arjuna is saying. No, Krishna, please say something different. Something else, please. This is too hard. I can't control this mind. This mind is restless and unsteady. Then the Lord says, yes, of course, Arjuna. Mind is chanchalam hi manah Krishna. Pramati balvadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayureva sudushkaram. Yeah, he said this. This mind is very difficult, Krishna, very flickering, turbulent, obstinate, strong. I don't think I can control. I don't think I can do pratyahara. What to speak of dharana dhyana? Then Bhagavan says, Shri Bhagavanu vacha असंशयं महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम् अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येण च गृह्यते. Then Lord Krishna says, yes, it is. I understand. Yes, undoubtedly, it's very difficult to curb this restless mind. But Arjuna, this can be controlled by practice and detachment. By practice and detachment, one can control the mind. Lord Krishna said that. And this is how the Ashtanga yogis control the mind in the Kruta Yoga. Yes, it is possible to control by practice and detachment for Ashtanga Yoga in Kruta Yoga. And in this Kali Yuga, it is still possible to control the mind to some extent, but as to obtain the Paramatma Sakshatkara through Ashtanga Yoga for Pratyahara in Kali Yuga, that is not the case because this is Kali Yuga. But in general, mind can be controlled through practice and detachment. And this is what they did in Ashtanga Yoga. Now, Arjuna had answer to this question. But with next question of Arjuna, it is clear what he's thinking about the Ashtanga Yoga. So Arjuna is asking the next question is, I hear you, Krishna. You said with practice and detachment, one can control the mind. But now I have a question, Krishna. Can you please tell me the destination of an unsuccessful yogi? See, if somebody takes up this Ashtanga Yoga, and then if they could come to certain point, and if they have to give up later because it's so difficult for them to do, then what would happen to them later? And answer for that is, Lord Krishna says, whoever does good is never overcome by evil. That's been good. No yoga is wasted. And these Ashtanga yogis, dear devotees, in the initial stages, yoga rukshu, whoever has done a little bit of Ashtanga yoga practice, in the next life, They can go to the planets of pious living entities. And we may think, wow, higher planets, pious living entities. We have to remember one thing. Everybody who is going to the upper planetary system anywhere has to come back to the earth again. And, or they may be born in a rich aristocratic family or in a family of righteous people. They are extraordinary people that we see in aristocratic families and saintly people in certain families like that. So, for an Ashtanga yogi who has done a little bit of yoga like that, this can be their next birth. But for somebody who has done a lot of, who has done Ashtanga yoga for a very long time, look at their destination. They will be born in the family of transcendentalists who are with great wisdom. So this is an advanced birth to be able to born in a family of transcendentalists. Whoever has spiritual interest, that is a greater birth than being born in a very rich family or going to the higher planetary system. So in this way, Ashtanga yogi, they will be born in the transcendentalist family, not necessarily Bhakti yoga only because they were practicing Ashtanga yoga. Then what would happen to them? Just that birth is not enough for them. They have to take, Lord Krishna says, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, then he attains the supreme goal. This is about Ashtanga yoga. Many, many births, not in the very next birth. We don't know how many births. In whatever yoga, he would attain that supreme goal. So this is about Ashtanga yogi. What happens to somebody, destination of an unsuccessful Ashtanga yogi. When we compare this with the Bhakti yoga, it is already having taken birth in a transcendental family, having born in a devotee family itself is, this is the fruit of whatever pious activities we have done in the past, whatever yogas we might have done in the past. Being born in a devotee family is the culmination. And one need not necessarily go achieve perfection after many, 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 many births. No. Look at Srila Prabhupada disciples. Back home, back to Godhead, just with the Acharya Upasana. Complete Sharanagati to an Acharya. And Yasya Prasado Bhagavat Prasade. Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutopi. Complete Sharanagati to Guru and Krishna with the Acharya Upasana. Back home, back to Godhead. Not too many births required. This is Bhakti Yoga when compared to the Ashtanga Yoga. So at every step, we see how Bhakti Yoga is so potent, so complete, so glorious. This is the last shloka. So Lord Krishna has explained everything about Ashtanga Yoga, including the question, Arjuna's question of what would be the destination if they can't complete it in one life? Then finally, Lord Krishna, he is bringing Arjuna to the main topic. Okay, Arjuna, all the questions about the Ashtanga Yoga have been answered now. Now comes Yoginam api sarvesham madgaterantaratmanam Shraddhavan bhajate yomam sameyukta tamo mataham. I have explained about the whole yoga system, but Arjuna, Yoginam api sarvesham, of all the yogis, madgater antaratmana, one who thinks of me in the core of their heart. Shraddhavan bhajate yomam, with great faith, worships me, does the bhajan of me. Same yukta tamo mata. That bhakta, that yogi is most intimately united with me. Same yukta tamo mataha is very intimately united with me. Who is that? Madgaterantaratmana. Who is thinking of the Lord in their core of the heart with great faith and doing the bhajan. And who is that? Who does that? It's a bhakti yogi. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. That's a bhakti yogi. So in this way, Lord Krishna explains everything about Ashtanga Yoga. And in the process, all the details about the mind and how to control the mind, all those questions were answered. And finally, introduction to Bhakti Yoga is given at the end of the 6th chapter. So this is the 6th chapter, dear devotees. We'll wind down. So what did we hear today? We can go to the slides. The difference between the sannyasi and yogi. Yogi means the definition is sannyasi is who is renouncing the fruits of activities. Yogi is somebody renouncing the desire for sense gratification. For Bhakti Yogi also it's the same. Renouncing the desire for sense gratification and augmenting the desire for Krishna's gratification. That's Bhakti Yogi. And Yoga Rukshu, Yoga Ruda. That we have heard that in detail. These are the stages of Yoga Rukshu and Yoga Ruda. So here we heard about different stages in Ashtanga Yoga and what exactly they do in the different stages. And we also heard comparison between the Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. And thus we came to know how Bhakti Yoga is more natural, easier, complete, and takes us beyond the Samadhi. It takes us to Vastu Siddhi and beyond. So that we have heard the differences between Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. And also a little bit about, the mind. How mind is a best friend when conquered or when purified, and is a greatest enemy when not controlled. And for somebody who has conquered the mind, super soul is reached. That's in Ashtanga Yoga. And in Bhakti Yoga, for somebody whose mind is totally purified, yes, the Lord is reached. And what is considered more advanced? Detachment to the material things, or detachment, equal vision. Having equal vision to the material things, or having equal vision on the people. Equal vision on the people. That is more advanced. Yogi's habits, quantity, minimize the quantity of sleep and food, and regulate eating, sleeping, and recreation. Okay. And then we heard details about this also, Samadhi, and more about the mind. How to control the mind in Ashtanga Yoga, that we have heard. This, dear devotees, so what about us in Bhakti Yoga? How to control the mind, especially in the japa. Especially in the japa. Mind goes here and there. Bring it back under the control of self. That's in Ashtanga Yoga. Yes. Bhakti Yoga is so beautiful, dear devotees. Lord Krishna is present everywhere. Wherever the mind goes, link it up with Krishna. Wherever the mind goes, because everybody is Krishna's. Everything is Krishna's. Krishna is everywhere. So, wherever the mind goes, and there is Krishna there. That is something that can be done in Bhakti Yoga. Because Bhakti Yoga is what? Seeing Krishna everywhere. Krishna in everything. So that's one thing. Yeah, that's about the mind control. And the difference between Brahma Bhuta and Brahma Sparsha. And here in the Samadhi state, Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra, how that is possible in Bhakti Yoga, that we have discussed. This is Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. That Sri Guru opens up our eyes, Timirandasya, takes us from the nations and places in the light, Ajnanatimirandasya. So that has to happen. That vision is given by Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra, is given by Shastra and Sadhuvani by Sri Guru. And of course, the characteristics and control of the mind and the destination of unsuccessful yogi that we have heard. And finally, the introduction to the Bhakti Yogi, which will take us to the 7th chapter next week. That's all, dear devotees. We'll pause here. Thank you all so much for your time and for your attention. Everything viewers now. Okay. And Vaman Hari Prabhu, I'm looking at the messages. My pranams to you too, Prabhu. And one of the take-home point is in Bhakti Yoga, mind is purified. Ashtanga Yoga, mind is controlled. Yeah. Krishna is everything in Bhakti Yoga. And wherever the mind goes, it better see Krishna wherever it goes. Do we understand that the yoga centers around are mainly dealing with bodily exercises and maybe some breathing exercises? And the meditation centers deal with control of mind and concentration of mind? Yes, Prabhu. On the form of the Lord? Not necessarily. Not yoga centers, not all the yoga centers. And not on the form of the Lord. Oh dear. Not really, Prabhu. But yes, bodily exercises and some mind control by some imagination, imagine on a light, or just empty your mind. Some techniques they try in the meditation centers. And yes, one of the take-home point is in Bhakti Yoga, mind is, oh yeah, yes, Prabhu, I think it's a repetition. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Vaman Hari Prabhu. Nikunja Vilasni Mataji, Vedareno, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, it's Madhav.
Yes, Madhava, Hare Krishna. Go ahead, beta.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for the awesome class.
Thank
I like 2 points. I liked how you explained it is very important to control your mind. And I also liked how you explained the difference between Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, and how Bhakti Yoga is the most effective and fastest way to reach Krishna in this age of Kali Yoga. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Naste, Eva Naste, Eva Naste, Eva Gatirandeta.
Can you say that again, beta, please?
Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Naste, Eva Naste, Eva Naste, Gatirandeta.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Nectar drops. Thank you, beta. Thank you. Veda, Renu, Akshaj. Veda, Renu, go ahead, Nana.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you for the good class. It was a little hard to understand, but one point I really liked about the mind was that to such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. What I understand from that is basically like a pure devotee, if they are happy or sad, they treat it equally, and same with heat and cold, honor and dishonor.
Renu, how old are you, beta? 9?
Yes, Mataji.
9 years you have sat through what? 1.5 hours. That itself is awesome, Nana. Awesome. And Ashtanga Yoga is not an easy chapter to understand, but still you sat through. Yes, that's awesome, beta. Yes, Renu, whatever we say, you say, we take it, Nana. That's
Thank
beautiful.
You,
Thank you, beta. Thank you. Veda?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, ma.
Thank you for the class, Mataji. I really like the points where you said that if our mind is controlled, then it's our best friend, and if the mind is not controlled, then it's our worst enemy.
Yeah.
And I also like the point, Mataji, where you said that the perfect vision of a yogi,
Mhm.
he sees everyone equally, no matter what their caste is, and Krishna is never lost from him, and he is never lost from Krishna. And also, he sees Krishna uh, in everyone and everywhere.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you, Veda. Thank you, Beta.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Nana.
Thank you,
You know,
Mata.
the mind, enemy and friend, that is an Ashtanga Yoga. For the Bhakti Yoga, when the mind is purified, it's the best friend. It can see Krishna everywhere. When the mind is impure, it's like an enemy. It cannot see Krishna even in the deity. So, yeah, a purified mind is a best friend, and an impure mind is really a troublesome enemy. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mataji.
Thank you, Beta. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Akshaj, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for the great class.
Thank you, Beta.
So I just had one question.
Mhm.
Why would Krishna mention in the Bhagavad Gita about all of these other yogas when we should be focusing on Bhakti Yoga? Because then people will try to think that the ones that are harder, that will be like the better ones so that they can like brag and stuff. And so why would Krishna like do that?
Yeah. It's like, the parents, they'll tell what is there out there and let the children make the choice. So informing the children and letting them make the choice. That way, when the children gets to know what are all the things outside there, once they get out of the house, then because they were informed before, they can make a proper choice. So it's instead of pushing Lord Krishna, instead of pushing us to do only Bhakti Yoga, He's giving us the options and letting us choose. He doesn't want to pressure us to come to Him. He gives us a choice. He wants us to come to Him by choice. He wants to come to, He wants us to come to Him by choice. कैसे बोलना बेटा? With children. See, for your papa, if he forces you to give hug, you don't really like it, right? But if
Yeah.
you go and give him a huggy, then he will feel happy, right? So what
Yeah.
makes your papa happy? If you go voluntarily and hug him, then it makes your papa happy. But if your papa comes to you and hugs you, he's not too happy about it. But when you go give him, then it makes him happy. Like that, when we choose Krishna on our own accord, then he's going to be happy. He doesn't want to force us. That's why he gives us and the other choices also and lets us choose Krishna. Is that okay, beta?
Wait, what happens when we like have a wrong decision?
Then
Like,
we
what if
learn.
we're
Then we learn.
oh,
Yes. See, when the fan is running, if your mother says, no, don't go, don't put your finger in the fan, you'll get a cut. Your mother is saying it. If you hear that, you'll be fine. But if you still want to go and experiment and try to put your finger in the fan, when you try to put it, you'll feel the pain. Then you will know, oh, okay, whatever mama said, it is true. But you will learn with the pain. So that's what happens. If we don't hear what Krishna is saying, and if we try to do other stuff, sooner or later, we will learn that it is painful and will come back to Krishna.
okay. Thank you, Mataji.
That's okay. Yes, beta. Thank you. Krish,
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for the amazing class.
thank you, beta. You are all amazing, all of you children sitting this long. Please go ahead.
The point I was going to mention, I think someone already said it, but I'll just say it again. But how when we do Ashtanga Yoga, then we're trying to conquer the mind. But then when we're trying to do bhakti yoga, then the mind is purified. And I just really like that. I mean, that just shows how much better bhakti yoga is than Ashtanga yoga. Instead of
Yeah.
just trying to
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, and one more thing is, Krish, you see, even if somebody does the Ashtanga Yoga, like Saubhari Muni, he did Ashtanga Yoga. He had siddhis and he went deep into the waters of Yamuna to meditate there. But he couldn't have sense control, even after getting siddhi. So he had to come out of the waters and take up the process of Bhakti Yoga and then attain perfection. So something that cannot be done by Ashtanga Yoga could be done by Bhakti Yoga. That is how
Exactly.
potent. Yes. Yeah.
And this also showed how Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna, they're so merciful to us. They're giving us such an easy process to attain Krishna
Yes.
and to get pure love.
Yes.
Krishna, Prema.
Yes.
They're giving such an easy process.
Yes.
And Prabhupada just comes here and he just comes straight to Bhakti Yoga.
Yes.
He doesn't teach us to go to Ashtanga Yoga, Karma Yoga, and all that stuff.
Yes.
He just goes straight to Bhakti Yoga.
Yes.
And
Yes.
this just shows how merciful he
Yes.
is.
Every purport. Yeah, to Aksha's question, yeah, Krishna is giving the choice, and he's like, okay, you choose, but Prabhupada, a devotee is more merciful than Bhagavan. Prabhupada is so merciful. Krishna is every purport. Yes, he's taking us straight to Krishna. Yes, beta, that's true.
I had one question. How do we know when our mind is purified?
Well, when we can see Krishna everywhere, take everything as Krishna's arrangement and be happy. And continue to nicely serve Krishna.
Yes.
And when our mind doesn't really go anywhere when we chant, because Krishna is right there, we know that the mind is purified.
So when we cannot turn away from Krishna, then we know the mind is purified.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's possible, beta, because Krishna is so powerful. And as you just mentioned, our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, Gurujan, are very merciful. So,
yes.
Yeah, that's why it is possible.
It's very much possible.
Yeah.
We follow the process given by the Bhagavad Gita, then it's very much possible.
Process of Bhagavatas they gave us. Yes, beta. Thank you. Thank you,
Hare
Krish.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right, dear devotees.
Hare
Any
Krishna,
from
Mataji.
parents? Yes, yes, Hare Krishna. Josna Mataji.
Pranams to you, Mataji.
Pranams to you. We have heard from the sages, right? We just heard from the sages.
Yeah,
Now we
I
can
was
talk.
thinking that every class I start that with kids, but I say, no, I'll not say today, but I cannot stop myself because, they are so amazing, Mataji.
Yeah.
Sitting here for chapter 6 Ashtanga Yoga and understanding and giving reflection and taking home points, and Krishna saying very much possible, very much. I mean, how can I stop and not
Exactly. How much more amazing can it get?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. And thank you, Mataji. Whenever I read chapter 6, I found it very dry, and I said, okay, mind control and yoginam api sarvesham, and then just move forward, whatever it is. That has always been my attitude towards chapter 6. But with your magic, chapter 6 was also relishable today in the class, especially comparing those stages with Bhakti Yoga stages, and especially by your mercy, now we understand them a little better and we look forward to those stages. So it was comparable and more relishable, or understandable and relishable, and very beautifully you compared Bhakti Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, and it was very, very clear the beauty of Bhakti Yoga and what is not at all possible. What is the comparison? What is on the same plane and what is not possible in Ashtanga Yoga? Very simply and very clearly put together, Mataji. Thank you. It was really nice. And what I really liked was the statement that the mode of passion can only be conquered by meditating on something like that. You said meditating or by thinking about the Lord, and that was the most
Mode of
beautiful.
passion only when it is directed to Krishna.
Directed to Krishna, yes.
That's the only way passion can be controlled. It's not that I will control the passion and then I will focus on Krishna. Good luck.
So I thought I found that the most beautiful in the whole class. And otherwise modes cannot be controlled. They cannot. That's Devi Maya. We understand them. That is the mercy of Guru Janas and Krishna. But controlling is not. But this statement is very powerful, hopeful, and then all glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his our Gurujanas who are bringing that same Lord in the form of Nama to us every day. What more can we ask for? And, we are fortunate to receive that.
Yes.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hare. Yes. I think everybody is an Ashtanga yogi now. They are in the stage. Dharana. Are you just coming out from the Dharana stage? Dhyana stage?
Mataji, I am still at Yama Niyama, Mataji.
It's good, Prabhu.
Yeah. I think Rasajna Devi Mataji has covered what I felt as well in this class. You exactly read my mind. Today is a relaxing chapter which is not relevant for me. But I still come here to hear Gita Pravaha. So that was mind was already trying to control. But then it started like, yeah, you need to purify the mind. You can make every shloka, every chapter with Gurujanas and Guru Parampara, when the knowledge is flowing, descending from them, like through you today for all of us. So even this chapter can be relatable and we can understand in a better way, which is relatable in a daily bhakti practice. That was so beautiful, Mataji. And you mentioned a point about Raga Anuga Bhakta. So they really don't need external services. They're just already having, seeing Lord everywhere and just for our purification, and they're giving us the opportunity to purify ourselves. So we get the services through them, for them. So that was, I thought, one of my take heart points. Whenever we get the opportunity of a pure devotee, we should serve them and get purify ourselves. So yeah, I was remembering Srila Gurudev during the katha. Thank you so much for that, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, he said, just with two things you can get Krishna Prema. Harinama Seva, Vaishnava Seva. That is Krishna Prema. That's all. Because both are, Harinam is very potent. Nam Seva is very potent. Vaishnava Seva is very purifying. Very purifying Vaishnava Seva. Vaishnava Seva is so essential, but we need strength to withstand the purification with the Vaishnava Seva. That comes from Nama Seva. So these two, just these two, Nam Seva and Vaishnav Seva, these two, they give Krishna Prema, undoubtedly. One is very potent, the other one is very purifying.
And also I felt self-reading versus hearing from a realized soul, how much of a difference it can be, Mataji.
Yes.
Like, though I was making these slides, Yoga Ruksha, Yoga Ruda, how many times I read, nothing went into my heart or mind.
Yeah.
But when you're explaining it today, that's when the knowledge is descending. So now I feel like Yoga Ruksha, I can explain what is Yoga Ruda, I can explain. But before this class, that was not the case. So I feel that difference of hearing versus self-reading also, because of whatever consciousness each one of us has. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Prabhu. And that point, this is also mentioned. In Navadvipa, there are 9 islands. So Navadvipa Bhakti is 9 angas. So this is a little joke, spiritual joke. In that islands, the first island is based on the Shravanam. So each island is one island is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, like that 9 islands for 9 angas of Bhakti. So the joke was, then, yes, we see an island for Shravanam, but where is the island for reading? Where is the island for reading? And the essence is that reading is good. At least we can get to know something that we do not know, but it is very effective when we hear it from whom? From those who know the essence of reading and who can apply it to us so we can relate to it better. In that way, whatever content is present there, it will be more accessible to us. Otherwise, it's just when we are reading, it's our mind and whatever is there in the book. So that is not very much sufficient. So that's why Shravanam is more encouraged than just reading. And all the devotees can get together, read, but somebody has to speak though. Otherwise, it just stays there only. This point I'm mentioning it because it is important that we hear. It's there, we keep few pages a day reading. Some habit is better than not having any habit. But few pages reading after hearing is perfect. Read after hearing. That's what we do in the schools too, right? We hear the teacher first and then we go do the homework. Then it'll be perfect. So not just reading, but read it after hearing. That will be perfect.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare. All right, dear devotees. My special pranams to you. You are still online hearing these informal conversations also. All right. So we will pause here and then we'll see you all next week then. Honoring all of your association. Vancha kalpatarupyascha kripa sindhubhyevach patitana pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jaya. Srila Prabhupada ki jaya.